Assalamu alaikum, my dear family. I hope you all are fine and enjoying good health. And I'm sure that every single student who is having, a clear eye on my YouTube channel and learning a lot on every day for their, English O levels 1123 course code paper. And the exam is already done. The paper two is already done. You guys have, done a tremendous job by keep on connected with me, commenting on the, video. And this way, I am, quite aware that you guys are quite curious to learn through my videos. So I thought to make a detailed PowerPoint presentation, which is, just lovely to watch today, in which I have covered each and every single minutest of the point. I'm sure if you're going to, watch this complete video and, maybe if you're not going to listen to my voiceover, if you will be just, watching the whole PPT, you are going to get a clear idea about a vivid idea about what you need to do in paper one, all right, and what actually the examiner wants from you. Got my point? So it is O levels English language paper one comprehension paper by your only teacher, Miss Palvasha Shahazib. Let's move on to the first slide. The first slide is the details of the assessment, which you are quite aware that the written paper is of 2 hours. So 2 hours, all right, after one whole year of, preparation, if you are giving this paper for the 2 hours, you need to, mention the words information in it. 50 marks, you know it. Candidates answer all the questions in two compulsory sections. There is no choice in any of the questions. You have to answer all the questions. Candidates write their answers in the space provided on the question paper, all right. The texts are printed in the question paper insert. Then there is an insert which is having a whole, written text from where you have to read, and then you have to write the answers on the question paper. Never write your answers on the insert. Keep this in your mind. Then as dictionaries must not be used. They are not even allowed. Section A is basically based on the comprehension and use of language. Question number one is completely on the comprehension task. You know that how to comprehend things, how to pick and choose the answers exactly from the text. If they have written, use your own words, then do it. Candidates respond to a series of sub questions based on text a narrative text. These are short answers testing understanding of both explicit and implicit meanings. Text A is approximately 900 words long, which you're going to give a reading to it in detail. And it's from either the 20th or the 21st century. This I'm telling you because they are already, producing the advanced level texts. This question tests the following reading assessment objective, and, it is of 16 marks. Question number two is use of language task, all right? And candidates are required to respond to a series of sub questions based on text A. These are short answers relating to the author's use of language and the effect this has, all right? The author's use of language and what it, effect it has actually. So the answers will be according to that. And this question says the same following reading assessment objective, and it is going to be of 9 marks. So altogether, this text A is going to be altogether of 25 marks, and text B, section B, is going to be of 25 marks then, right? So it's going to be a sum of 50 marks. Then strategies for answering reading questions. Identifying the main ideas of a passage. You have to identify the main ideas of the passage by keeping a pencil in your hand and underline the points which you feel important, okay? Basically, I always guide my students to first give a reading to the text in detail, then give a reading to the questions, then start from the question number one and, come back and giving. It will, like a brainstorming for you. You are going to read the whole text first, then you're going to read the questions. You'll get a complete idea, okay, that I don't have to repeat this answer in that question. So I'll be going in a chronological order, all right? The main idea of a passage is its point, the central idea or primary focus of the writing. The correct answer in a main idea question must be entirely true and complete. It should be true. If the question number one is of 1 mark, it should be exactly, from that line which is mentioned. And it should be, complete and true and correct. Main ideas questions will usually include one of the following keywords. And I have, mentioned the keyword. Let me just move my video up. Okay, so main idea emphasizes, focuses on, is primarily or chiefly concerned with author's point of view, essence, give the essence of this one. We'll go on to discuss. So these are the main idea questions. In all these wordings, all right, if these kind of wordings are mentioned, don't get confused. Okay, don't get confused. It means that you have to give the main idea. Even if they have written that, please, the question focuses on this thing, please explain that. give the main idea. If there it's written that, explain the author's point of view, it is all the choice of words, but words को वो लोग घुमा फिरा देते हैं पेपर में, क्वेश्चन पेपर में, and the students get confused. वहां पे टीचर ये मेंशन ही नहीं था. So no, I have mentioned all the things here. The main idea emphasizes, focuses on, is primarily or chiefly concerned with. This is the work which I did for you guys. ये मेहनत है मेरी. I have extracted from all the papers and I have mentioned it here. In सब का मतलब है give the main idea. Okay. All right. Now let's move on to the next slide. Then there are some techniques to answer main idea questions. Look for keywords that identify the question as a main idea question. You have to look the keywords, as I told you. These are the keywords which I have showed in the previous slide. If the question includes any of the main idea keywords listed above, this will help you focus on identifying the author's point as you read. All right, as you read it. Read the passage and make notes. Once you've identified the question as the main idea question, read the passage. Make mental notes on your scrap paper as you read. Scrap paper is the insert, all right? Make mental notes on it. And remember to pay special attention to the words such as but, yet, although, since, except, moreover, unless, nonetheless, however. These are, the words, the conjunctions to be given the special attention to. These words signal a shift. Okay, we have to give a shift, the turning point, a qualification, something you should note. So, the information mentioned after these words, give notice to it. The ideas that follow these words are usually important to the overall meaning of the passage. So I'm, giving a focus here. So you need to, understand this thing, that if, these words are mentioned and after these words, whatever line or whatever thing or whatever story is mentioned, just underline that. You are going to, give importance to it. First, tip for you guys. Secondly, there are some strategies for answering, reading questions. Reading a passage for specific details. An author often supports his or her main idea with key facts and examples that help make the overall meaning of the text clear. You may be asked a question based on one of these facts or examples. Your job is to make a sense of the fact example in the context of the overall main idea that is being conveyed. You have to make sense. Your answer should make sense. Reread your answer once we have written. That's why I focus on, proofreading thing. Questions about specific details are a matter of reading carefully for meaning. Some questions which ask for the specific details, these are the questions which you need to give a reading to carefully for, putting or embedding the exact meaning into them. All right. There are some techniques to answer specific detailed questions. Now let's read. Identify the most important word or words in the question. This general strategy is critical for specific detailed questions. Identify the word or phrase that will guide you toward the answer as you read the passage. You have to underline the important things from the question which they are asking you to, you know, which they are asking you to write. Make mental notes related to the word or phrase as you read. If the question is a straightforward question about a fact or example from the text, your answer will likely, be appear in the same sentence in which the word or phrase appears, or in the sentence before or after that sentence. However, be sure to read the entire passage. All right. You are going to make mental notes. This is something very important. All right. Understanding the main idea of the passage is often critical to choosing the correct answer to specific detailed question. If you are understanding the main idea of the passage, then you are going to critically analyze that. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. Strategies for answering reading questions. Identifying the author's purpose. These are some strategies which I have mentioned. You are requested to please read them in detail and understand them. Pause my video, understand wherever you are unable to understand things. You are going to reread the things which I am mentioning here, because it's a very detailed PowerPoint presentation, constitute consisting of altogether like 20 slides. So we are on the 8th slide now. The questions about the author's purpose ask you to determine why an author wrote a particular passage. You are requested to watch the video till the end if you really want a best, paper this time. For example, you're going to thank me later. For example, an author might write a passage in order to persuade an audience, to convince the audience. Persuade means to convince the audience, to describe something, to explain a process, or to define a term, it's a specific term which he is describing or defining, to refute a claim, or to analyze a text, or to convey personal feelings. So, these are basically the author's purposes to explain and ask you to determine. I ask you to determine why an author wrote a particular passage. So these are his, purposes. From one of these purposes, if you are, achieving the specific purpose of the author, you need to understand first in your mind that what the author wants from me. If is he trying to convince me? Is he trying to, or he wants me to describe something? Or is he there to ask me to explain something, a process? Or he wants me to refute a claim here? Or he is here to analyze the text in a critical manner, or to convey personal feelings? So we need to quickly uh, assess that what actually the author wants from us, right? Okay, now let's move on to the next thing, and that is techniques to answer author's purpose questions. Look for keywords that identify the question as an author's purpose question. If the question includes any of the author's purpose keywords listed above, as I told you previously, make a note that you're looking for the author's purpose. Okay, you're going to remember, learn the author's purposes, which I've listed before. The reason the author wrote the passage. This will help you focus on the author's tone as you read, because I told you there are four things: purpose, tone, audience, and your writing style, right? Which in turn will help you identify his or her purpose. Read the passage and make notes. If you are aware about author's purpose, then your answer will be exactly, according to it. Once you have identified the question as an author's purpose question, read the passage, make note as you read. Consider the vocabulary of your question answer options. Is the author really analyzing something, or is she describing it? Use your knowledge of key vocabulary words to eliminate wrong answers and identify the better answer. I know you don't have much time to do this thing, but you need to practice, this before exam. Strategies for answering reading questions. Making inferences from a passage. To infer means to draw a logical conclusion. Inferences means to drawing a logical conclusion from what is known or assumed to be true. In this case, from what is written in the passage. All right. Inferences are not stated explicitly in the passage. Rather, inference questions require you to draw conclusions from the factual knowledge or evidence presented. All right, so most inference questions will include one of the following keywords, and these are the keywords which will be extracted from all of those papers for your ease, my dear students. Imply, suggest, infer. Here you have to draw the conclusion, a logical conclusion. If these kind of words are here, most likely, probably, seem, predict, indicate, or conclude. In all these keywords, you are requested to draw a logical conclusion and make inferences from the passage. All right. Then we have the techniques to answer inference questions. Look for keywords that identify the question as an inference question when you come upon a question and that contains one of the transition words listed previously. Make a note that you are looking for an inference. This will help you later on as you consider the answer choices by reminding you that you must draw a logical conclusion based on the facts presented in the passage. Identify the most important substantive words in the question. So, my dear students, what are these substantive words in the question? Let me explain you this too. Dear students, identify the most substantive words means the words which are having, actual meaning in the question. We are going to, identify them. Some words which are having an in your independent existence and importance. So we're going to extract those words from the question, and we're going to, focus on them, and then we're going to, answer the question accordingly. Learn to spot wrong answers. Wrong answers for inference questions often make a valid leap not supported by the details of the passage, or contains a factual error, a conclusion that runs counter to the details of the passage. Okay, there are some strategies for answering reading questions and the scanning to answer questions. If you are scanning for facts to answer specific questions, one step is already done it for you. The question itself supplies the keywords. Follow these steps. Read each question completely before starting to scan. Choose your keywords from the question itself. All right, choose your keywords from the question itself. Look for answers to only one question at a time. When you locate a keyword, read the surrounding text carefully to see if it is relevant or not. Use of figurative language. This is something very important. I am sure you are quite aware, your teachers might taught you that, use of figurative language, especially in the summary questions. Over there you are requested to embed your, figurative language, and you can, you know give this reading, give the reading to this slide, and you can get a better idea. Literal language is exactly what it says, all right. Figurative language uses all these similes, metaphors, hyperbole, and personification to describe something, often through comparison with something different, all right. So when we are, embedding the personification, to personify things, this means to giving the human attributes to the animals and things. So if you're doing such kind of, creating such kind of answer, then definitely you're going to ace in the exam. Nobody can stop you acing in the exam. The following literary techniques would enable students to extract relevant information, make logical inferences while answering question number two, which is use of language, main idea, okay. So you have to look for these keywords to draw a logical conclusion. Then we have these themes, all right. The theme examples. Theme can be identified by the idea, all right. So theme means to find a message. The courage theme, explains brave characters, strength. The cooperation themes are talking about the characters work together to solve a problem. The perseverance is facing difficult times. And, maybe, when you are consistent and facing, still consistent and still facing the difficulties. Honesty is you finding truth, and kindness is friendly, generous characters. So these are, the maximum themes which I have embedded here. And the point of view refers to who is telling a story or who is narrating it. The narration of a story can be told in three ways: first person, second person, third person. This you are requested to understand carefully. That in which, person, in which three ways the story has been narrated, all right. Allegory. It is a literary device. Allegory is a metaphor in which a character, place, or event is used to deliver a broader message about real world issues and occurrences. So these are extended metaphors basically. Also, closer to the comparison, but extended metaphors. Example, the tortoise and the hare. From this story, we learned that the strong and steady will win the race. Okay, so this is something, the deep meaning of it. Then these are some figures of speech which I'm, showing you. You are going to stop it and you're going to read the examples. You can get a better idea. You can easily embed these kind of examples. And please just take a look to the basic figures of speech. Now, understanding of implicit meanings. What does the implicit meanings mean? An extract from the passage will be provided. The question would require the candidate to identify one example from the text and explain the effect of how the author has used language to describe the identified action. I've already explained you in my previous video. You have to identify one example. The whole text is given to you. पूरा text आपके सामने है. आपने सिर्फ एक example इसमें से extract करनी है. And techniques to answer implicit meaning questions. Implicit meaning questions वही हैं जिसमें students are facing, problems. Look at the big picture. What part of the passage was the text extracted from? कहाँ से वो टेक्स्ट एक्सट्रैक्ट किया गया है उसको प्लीज रीड करें. व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन द extract, and what importance does the event hold for the progression of the story? Identify the impact of the action being performed and what is the character doing exact. Then you're going to easily, explain that in detail, because this question is of, extreme importance in this paper. So try to do it in a better possible manner. Example of an implicit meaning question. Okay, this is something very important question. Identify one example from the text below of how the writer uses language effectively to convey Mo's feeling after Mo has lost sight of the ground. This was the text I have embedded. All right. Now explain the impression the writer creates in the example you have identified. Now you're going to, as I told you, pick up any of the line, any of the example, one example, and explain that in your own words. And that explanation should be, relating to all the things which I've explained you previously. You have to see that what part of the passage the text has been taken from, and then you're going to explain that. All right, so this was all from my side, my dear students. I hope this whole PowerPoint presentation was worth sharing, and I hope you got an extreme information through this PPT. And I tried my level best to convey the best possible, strategies to how to attempt the reading paper. And I'm sure you get a clear idea. Now, I'm going to tomorrow share the sample, but another sample paper. This was the specimen paper which was shared with you previously in the previous, video. Now I'm going to share some more sample paper papers which my students are requesting me that miss please more भेजें ताकि हम लोग we can practice more. All right, ताकि हम ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा text को practice कर सकें, so we can get a clear idea that how to attempt each and every question. All right, so keep commenting, and please don't forget to subscribe my channel. If you are new to my channel, subscribe it. You're going to get a clear idea of how to attempt the O levels English paper. And you can also watch my whole playlist, which is extremely informative. I'm sure you will get extreme information or exceeding information from each of my video. So thank you so much for watching. This was your host Palvasha Shahzev. Stay tuned and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to mention things in the comment section below. Your feedback is something very, very important to me. It's closer to my heart. So please mention the comments. When I see the comments, I really love seeing that you guys are learning something new from my videos. So thank you so much. This is all from my side today.